Hello and welcome to the Room to Talk podcast, the podcast where we talk to local people in the area of Salford. Today we're talking to local community chairperson, Lynda Hazeldine. Lynda, welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so just to get a bit of a background about yourself, can you tell us all about who you are, what you do as a job, and how long you've been living in this area for?
Well, my name's Lynda, as you just said. I've lived in this area for, I'd say, 50 years, on and off. As a job, I'm the head cook at a local high school, the Albion Academy. I'm not sure what else do you need to know?
Is that how 2D Lynda is? We're going to prize open exactly who Lynda is. Just in terms of like growing up around Salford, what was life like for you?
It was brilliant growing up in Salford. I've always lived in Salford, as we used to call it, Salford 7. It's like the M7 postcode now. But it was brilliant. I had a brilliant family, very close-knit community. Played out on the streets from morning till night, and there was never any trouble.
And family life, what was that like for Lynda, young Lynda?
Oh, amazing. I lived with my mum and dad and my brother. But most of the time I stayed at my grandparents who lived on Oaklands Road, which is just up the road, with 7 other uncles and aunties who were about the same age as me, going scrumping, going in press switch on a Sunday, washing cars with my uncles. It was just really good fun.
And when you were with such a large family, have you managed to stay in touch with the family over the years? Have they all? How important is family to you?
Family is very important. The problem I've got is that most of my uncles now have passed away, unfortunately, my aunties. But the ones that are still alive, we still keep in touch with, and cousins. Yeah, we all seem to grow up nicely and keep in touch. It's lovely.
Sounds like you could get a good jolly get-together amongst the Hazel. Well, what would be your premarital surname?
Well, my premarital surname was Davidson's, but my gran and granddad were the Gillards, which was a fairly well-known name in the area. But yes, I mean, I couldn't say on here what we used to go up to. Sorry.
I think you should.
No, I definitely think I shouldn't.
So it was a notorious family, the Gillards.
Slightly, yes.
If we do a little Google search, we'll find out.
I think so. Yes.
Oh, okay, that's exciting then. So life in the 21st century then for Lynda, what's that like?
It's frightening, especially for my children and my grandchildren growing up, because the things that we used to do growing up were so far away from what the children do now. There's no comfort zone now. They can't go and play out like we used to from morning till night time. And there's just too much badness in the world, especially down here.
So what do you think it is that's preventing people from going out morning till night?
I think there's a lot of peer pressure for the children and the teenagers growing up. They've got to appear to be more than they are. I think they have to sort of, I don't know, act harder than they are and not be children anymore. They have to grow up quicker.
I think they have to be a little bit more daring.
A lot more daring, and doing things that, your parents, your grandparents would never, ever dream of doing.
Yeah. Would you like to take a bit of your drink or something? Or have you got a tickly throat or something?
Just slightly.
Yeah. So do you think maybe then, as you were growing up, it was a little bit, I think naive's the wrong word, but people were able to sort of grow up a little bit in their own time, and in this day and age, there is a lot of pressure on people to grow up in certain ways and be more daring.
Definitely. Definitely. I think when we were growing up, I think naivety is a good word to use, really, because it was just growing up. You just played out. You just was with your friends and you just played. Whereas nowadays, I don't think children nowadays know what the word play means. To a child nowadays, to play is either going on their Xbox and being on the internet and talking to their friends. It's not exactly getting on a bike with a couple of jam butties and a bottle of water and spending the day out in the park. That it doesn't even enter the heads.
So it's like a collective issue. So this sort of issue with younger people in this day and age would be difficult to tackle if we were talking about essentially everyone going online, having that interactivity, and being able, like, what do you think could be the devices that we could use to try and prevent those activities?
More youth clubs. I mean, the club that we're in. I mean, we could, if there was more activities for those, for the children, to get them out the comfort zone. You know, I mean, you've got the Duke of Edinburgh Award, but I don't think that really means much to the children in this area. But I mean, if they could do something more like in that way, get them out of the comfort zone. Yeah. It's getting them out of the houses, and it's getting the parents to get them out of the houses. I think, because I think the parents have a lot to do with it.
Yeah. So again, it is like it's an attitude that seems to be transcending the entirety of the community. Then, isn't it? Like in terms of like the young people are quite happy to sit on the phones, and that's generally the safest way that parents seem to be happy for them to be doing, rather than being out on the streets. So I feel like there's kind of like this. There is this vision, like you said, it's very bleak and dark at the start, and it is a shame that that's what we feel about our community and the people that we live with, that we don't feel safe to be out and around our neighbours. And I feel like it is heightened in the sense that within the last 12 months, so we've been obviously tuned into fear and everything, probably like sometimes a little bit too much, sometimes not enough. Obviously, everyone takes advice for certain medical issues in different ways, and maybe some people take it too far. Maybe some people don't give a damn, and there's a load in the middle who are frustrated in either way. So we are talking in April 2020. We've just had a year's worth of lockdowns because of the COVID-19 pandemic. How has COVID-19 affected you in your life?
Well, when it first started last year, I was one of those that had to be shielded. So I was shielding up to, I think it was 6 months. Never went outside the house. Never even went to a shop. I think I went to the door a couple of times to clap for the NHS, and that's as far as I got. So it was very difficult when it first came that we could go out, because I thought, well, what do I do now? You know, do I really want to go out? Because it's frightening to think, well, all of a sudden I can go out, but what's changed? Because there wasn't much that had changed to make me go out. So it was very fearful.
So yeah, you did have that fear of like a little bit of danger in the air as well.
Yeah, well, I still do. I mean, I've had my first vaccine now, and I'm back in work. But with working in a high school, I mean, we have children that's going off with the COVID all the time. I mean, the kitchen I've worked with, in my kitchen, there's been 3 ladies that's had the COVID, and it is frightening. Yeah, definitely.
Does it put things into perspective for you, having an instance like in the last year where you have had to stay indoors for six months, and then obviously coming out and having that little bit of fear? Does it put anything in life in perspective for you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because it's eventually, when we are allowed out and things are ever back to normal, I will be doing a lot more things than I would have done, because, you know, it makes you think life is very short. I'm 66 next year and I'll be retiring, and I don't want to be sat in the house thinking, what if I did this, or why didn't I do that? Because I will be doing the things that I want to do. I won't be waiting anymore.
What did you manage to do to pass the time then with yourself, where you weren't allowed out for that 6 months?
I tried baking, very unsuccessful, even though I'm a cook at a school. I read a lot, but mostly it was watching the TV and just mind-numbing things. It was fine for the first 3 months. You keep busy. And then after that you think, well, I've done that. Or we even tried doing a jigsaw. And after 3 weeks, we threw it away because we couldn't do that. It was just ridiculous. So we just sat there and vegetated.
So do you think some of these things that you've lived through in the last 12 months, obviously being part of a community group yourself, who do a lot of projects based on coming together as a community, and you've done certain projects where we've looked at the war and things like that, and specifically living in an underground shelter. Do you think that's sort of mirrored some of the things that you've been having to put up with in your life?
Yeah, in a minuscule way. I mean, I wouldn't even dream to think that the things we've gone through now is anything like the war. I mean, they went through 100 times worse than us, but it does put it in perspective. Definitely does. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you work in a school and you had to shield, and there's people in your place of work who've had COVID-19. How has it impacted your work life?
We're very conscious of what we're doing, how close we are with each other, where we're working, and even with the children. You know, we don't associate as much as we did with the children because you just can't get as close. You know, everyone's in their own bubbles, which is a new word we never thought we'd say all the time. Yeah. And
with it keeping you away from work for so long, and obviously the schools wouldn't have been open for a large amount of that time, but did it stop you from being able to do your job at all?
Yeah. I was furloughed for when we opened after Christmas. I was furloughed over because we didn't need a full staff. So what my assistant cook had to go into work for 3 months where I was off. And that was awful because I kept thinking, I'm off work. I'm quite capable of working, but I wasn't allowed to go in. And somebody else was doing my job. I just didn't like that at all.
Does it make you feel undervalued at all when you're unable to go in and do your job, and somebody might be in there sort of taking your position, if only for a small moment in time?
No, I don't think so. No, I wouldn't say that. I just don't like the thought that I'm sat at home and somebody else is doing my work when it should be me. I wouldn't say I didn't feel devalued. I just felt helpless more than anything. Right. I think that's the way this is making you feel. A lot of people helpless.
And did you feel isolated as well?
Very, very isolated. Yeah.
Yeah. Who was your, like, another term that we come to like say quite a lot? Who was your support network in that?
Just my husband, Martin. Just the two of us. Yeah, because I've got 3 children, 7 grandchildren, and we couldn't see those. You know, it was heartbreaking. Yeah, so it's just me and Martin.
And phone calls and things like that. Did you have access or?
Yeah, we had a few phone calls. Yeah, but we did keep in touch. I've got a 1-year-old grandson who doesn't really know me, and we did a few face-to-face phone calls. But, I mean, there's not much you can say to a 1-year-old over the phone, you know, when you're talking. Yeah. Nobody goo-goos and everything. You know, he just sort of looked at me as if I was daft.
It's a strange and different way of life, isn't it? So now that we're coming to, obviously, April, we're looking at what is potentially a roadmap where none of these lockdowns will exist. Hopefully we all get vaccinated and we can carry on living our lives. What do you intend to do for Lynda Hazeldine for the rest of your life? What have you got plans?
Oh, definitely got plans, especially when I retire. I just want to get this year out of the way, make sure everybody's safe, make sure the family's safe, of course, and then the world's my lobster. I don't care. I'm just going to go out and enjoy it and go and see places and go places I've never been.
And finally, is there any positives that you can take out of the last 12 months?
I think people have been friendlier. Even though during the lockdown you couldn't see them, when you did speak to people over the phone or if you needed help, there was always somebody there. And I think that's brought a lot of the community together. I just hope that it continues after the lockdown and we go back to normal, which would be nice.
Yeah, hopefully that sort of community value and feeling valued to other people continues.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, Lynda, thank you for joining us on the Room to Talk podcast. It's been lovely to talk to you, and I'll see you again soon.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.